Hey, howdy, folks. Let's see here. We're looking at Kazar number 17, and it's not Kazar the Savage right now. It's Kazar the Detective, but it's still Kazar the Savage. It's just the number 17 in the run. It starts out as like a detective story. The guy's outside a building, and he's telling this other guy, and they walk, and he's still following them. They go in the dark alley. He's like, they disappear right here, and then it flashes to Kazar. The guy has a gun. He flashes to Kazar, and he's like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" You know, Kazar is a detective story fan, and they're sitting around the campfire. Kazar and Sheena, and they're sitting around, and there's a Zabu right there. They're sitting around a campfire, and they're talking about, oh man, she's reading a book about I think it was the African deer, the gazelle or antelope or something, and he's like, well, crap, I have to wait till next month to get the next volume, because they in the Savage Land somehow they get airdrop supplies to their little headquarters, and then there's a little plane. They see there's their last airdrop, so they're like, oh, let's go and get it, you know. So they dash off to get the next issues, and they find that it wasn't a guy, it was a dead guy. Okay, well he fell, and Kazar finds a gun on the guy. So they're like, it's a gun. And Sheena's like, a gun? Just leave that there. We don't need a gun. I don't like guns. And Kazar's like, well, I'm really good at using a gun. My dad taught me how to. And they're like, okay, well, they're eating dinner, and in the comic book, he's like, the dinner they had was mushrooms, and it's like a mushroom soup that they made. And so now they're tired. Kazar still has the gun. The next thing you know, in this comic book, there's a gazelle, and it's going around peacefully and marching, and zap, gunshots are getting fired by this gazelle, the gazelle or whatever, and it's darting off, and the hunter's behind it. And then you go back to the detective story, and there's this trusty companion, and they got the guy that was about to shoot him in the first of the issue, and you go back and forth, and the detective finds this gal, and that's hired him, the dame that hired him and the detective to follow him around, but yada yada yada. She escapes the deal, going through the window, and he's shooting at her and stuff, and then you flash back, and then then the gazelle's getting shot at and stuff, and by a hunter. The gazelle stops and starts eating the root, and it's changing forms. Like, it was a hunter, now it's Kazar, and the gazelle's eyes are turning into Sheena. So the soup that they were eating earlier is really messed them up. So she was like, oh crap, that mushrooms must have been some psychedelic mushrooms, because I was just a gazelle and I was getting shot at. And here's Kevin Plunder having a gun, and she's like, hey, wake up, snap out of it, it's me. And he's shooting at her. And she's like, oh gosh, it caught her arm. And she's like, oh, what's going on? So she takes off. So Kazar still is thinking he is the detective, and he's going after the dame that got away, and now Shanna is the girl that the detective's after, and he's playing out the role as the detective in this comic. It's because they're high. Drug paraphernalia with the mushrooms they ate. So anyways, she comes back to the campfire. Kazar's still tracking her. down. She's trying to get away. She in his mind, he gets lassoed, and Shanna just is trying to slow him down to escape. She's jumping on trees, but he thinks it's fire escape. He's telling the dog sick him, and it's actually Zabu. And she gets closer and closer and closer, and it looks like, you know, she's nowhere to run because she's inside the cave here that she's got, and Zabu's getting closer, and you know, and it's actually Kazar, and Zabu doesn't attack, but yet turns on Kazar here, and I believe it. Finally, we're trying to knock some sense into Kazar. They try to knock some sense into him out of his mushroomed thing here. So, and then here we go. It's the next still, Stranger in Paradise. And then it's the next chapter of the comic. Another next deal. They have on all these Kazars, they have a backup story, tells of Zabu, and it's all about Zabu and how Kazar and their meeting and stuff, and it's there you go. It's a quick review of Kazar 17.